Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Tex once again with the Open Source Office, and we're finally returning with another project spotlight. Today, I'm joined by Ronald Spahn with the DQuadrant. Ronald, you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Yes, my name is Ronald Spahn. I'm the CEO of DQuadrant. I joined Cardano early on in 2017. Basically started with delving into the technique, being a stake pool operator. And from there on, we saw basically at 2020 an opportunity to found a company, which is DQuadrant, which I founded together with Sandeep Pandey, which is my business partner. And well, since then, we are basically developing all kinds of solutions and helping Cardano with the roadmap.
Super cool. Thanks for sharing. Can you tell us a little bit more about DQuadrant as far as like the main mission that you all have within the Cardano ecosystem?
Yeah, well, we don't have such a mission. Of course, we have a mission. We want to be profitable. We want to be self-sustainable on Cardano, but we also basically want to contribute to the success of Cardano. And I think that's our main mission, helping Cardano along to become a successful blockchain used by a lot of people around the world. And we think there is enough work basically for companies like us to deliver certain expertise which is asked by clients who want to make use of this blockchain, either by developing or by explaining or by providing tooling for them. And that's basically what we are focusing on as a technology company, providing those solutions, helping companies like IO, helping intersect with their roadmap, just to make sure that they tick all the boxes and basically get Cardano successful.
Absolutely. So other than the tooling that you're referring to, how else would you say that you all integrate with the Cardano blockchain, and what unique features do you have that enhances data reliability and security?
Well, we have integrated with Cardano blockchain through different programming languages, of course. For example, we're using Python, but we are also using Plutus and Haskell. Our team learned this themselves. We didn't have that knowledge when we started within the Cardano ecosystem, but we applied it ourselves first through creating a marketplace on Cardano. And that was our first experience. There were no smart contracts at that moment, so we created our own solution for that, for distribution of NFTs, for payments, etc., etc. And out of that, we created a library which is called the Cuba API, and that library makes it easy for people to construct transactions, basically. Further on that, we built basically new tooling on top of it to make our life also easier, because we having a development team, but also that development team is rotating over time, and you should be able as a company to adopt new people in without having the struggle of learning all the underlying infrastructure. So we created an IDE on top of that API, where it's very easy basically to add new people to your team without having the big struggle of learning all the underlying infrastructure. So they basically can get very effective by developing directly the code for smart contracts. And we did create that solution in a browser that is connecting to the different networks, is able to connect to different kind of wallets, and all these kinds of stuff.
Well, it definitely sounds very fluid and flexible, and I appreciate you delving into some of that for us. If we take this, I don't know if it's a different direction, but what are some primary use cases for DQuadrant within the ecosystem? Why is it that different customers or projects would want to reach out to DQuadrant for support?
Yeah, well, Actually, we are available as a service partner. So people can contact us either for DApp development if they have that requirement, but also for smart contract auditing. If they would like to have help with setup, let's say for that testing environment, how do they test things? How do they set up the infrastructure for that? Basically, we can all do all this stuff, and they can knock at our door and ask basically, well, how would we approach that in their specific situation? So they can consult with us, and on basis of that, we can go into further talks and see if we can help them. So these kind of things we are doing. This is also how we got in contact with IO. We built that marketplace in an early stage where there were only a few solutions on Cardano. That's how we came in contact with Charles, and we get an opportunity basically to build something for him, and we extended that over time. We build a relation. That's also how we came into Intersect, starting getting involved with Intersect, and also build there the relation and doing basically some testing work, quality assurance and testing for Fuzzle hard fork. We have done for SecP 256 K1, which is cryptographic primitive for integration with Ethereum. We did recently the Cheng hard fork testing, and we did Gothel testing. So we were mostly positioned towards the testing path because IO and Intersect didn't have a partner for that. But we also built some solutions like the blueprint templates at a very early start. So when there were no samples out, basically we created blueprint template for NFT marketplace, but also for stablecoin. And that were basically references for other developers to get started. And that's what we also basically did with Cuba IDE. We opened that as open source. We are using it ourselves, not only for onboarding people, but we are also using it for our test scenario. So if we are testing basically functionality for the Fuzzle hard fork or for the Cheng hard fork, we are using this same tooling. And we are also developing new tooling. For example, now we are developing autonomous agent testing, which helps us basically by simulating a real life scenario with a lot of users interacting basically with the blockchain. And this is something we have found out during working on certain aspects, either for IO or for Intersect, that there are some gaps where we cannot be so effective, and we can be more effective if we have this kind of tooling available. And this tooling will also be available for the community. That means they can use the same tooling we are using to test basically a large setup with a lot of users interacting with smart contracts, also on epoch boundaries and this kind of stuff, which is complicated to do if you have to do that all manual, especially with volume. And by building such a tool, well, it's very easy because basically you can set up templates, you can set up functions, and containers are being spun up in the background, which are executing and simulating the, let's say, the behavior of end users on a blockchain on volume.
Right. You know, I like a lot of the things that you mentioned and brought in there. Some of the things I find most important is the partnership piece. I know that's something, at least from the open source office perspective, and I believe with some other areas that intersect as well, we are looking at strengthening the work that we do by creating and working through those partnerships. The other part that I was catching on is the testing piece, right?
Yeah.
We could develop things as the day is long, but if we're not testing to make sure that they have the appropriate functionality before releasing them, where are we going to end up? And that could be a scary thought. As we look to the next piece, I have, I think it might be a two-part question, right? But, you what are the future plans for DQuadrant, like in terms of development and new features? I know you mentioned tooling and smart contracts. Is that something where there could essentially be a new tool that you create that, I don't know, is like a foundational layer of how to test various changes?
No, well, we have ideas of that, and of course we are participating also in Catalyst, having some proposals out there. For example, we have now a proposal basically for pooling, let's say, a certain amount of money so that people can put a proposal in for governance. That costs now 100,000 ADA, for example. By pooling with several people, you can put a proposal up and you don't carry all the cost yourself, which is for some people too high. So that's one proposal. Next to that, of course, we see all the initiatives related to layer 2s, which are popping up on basis of Hydra, modifications of Hydra. And also there, basically, the DApp developers need tooling to integrate with that kind of technology. So we are trying to make it easier by providing additional functionality to our existing library, which is Cuba API, to make it possible to easily integrate with this kind of functionality on layer 2 with Hydra. So we always looking basically, well, what are the missing pieces and how can we contribute to this? How can we make our life easier? But also can we can build solutions on basis of that added functionality to our library.
Yeah, I see that. How can you make life a little bit easier for yourself, but also easier for everybody in return?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's the goal. What we are doing, we are trying to make our life easier so we can spend our time very efficiently and do more things, of course, instead of having to do things manually. And next to that, well, it's our goal to provide this tooling to the ecosystem so the ecosystem can benefit from that and doesn't have to suffer from the same problems that we have been suffering from.
Right. No, exactly. The last thing that we have for you today, I think you've maybe called out to this a couple of different times in some different ways, but how would you say that DQuadrant is engaging with the community, whether that's the partnerships primarily or beyond the partnerships, and how can the community get involved?
Yeah, well, we are communicating mainly with our, let's say, within the partner channel, but next to that, we are also visiting basically the events which are out there. So we are now already for the 3rd year participating in the post-summit event in the Netherlands. So that's one way to connect also to the community, because a lot of people from the community come over there. They have questions. So there they can interact with us and we can interact with them so we know what is going on. Next to that, we are visiting Summit also now for, I think, for the 2nd year. So there we can connect with people. They can come to us. They can ask us questions. We would like to support also Intersect at the Summit this year again, because we know they have a stand over there. So we will be definitely there at the stand. So if you want to meet up with DQuadrant, please go to the Intersect stand, because next to basically interacting with the partner channel, we are also interacting with Intersect. We are part of several working groups already from the beginning and participating where we can to achieve the goals that basically Cardano has. Because if Cardano succeeds, DQuadrant will succeed. If Cardano doesn't succeed, DQuadrant will not succeed in the path we have chosen, basically to be a provider of services on Cardano.
One with the system, one with the crowd. I see and hearing you there.
Yeah. Well, it's a double whammy basically. If Cardano succeeds, then a lot of companies that basically invested on it, because we invested from the beginning in Cardano. We put a lot of effort training our own people basically to be familiar with how things are working, and That was not funded at all. So it's an own investment we did. And of course, we would like to earn back, monetize on that investment. If Cardano succeeds, a lot of companies will come. There will be new solutions coming in. And of course, then they will look for the expertise partners which are out there and contact with them. And we will have a piece, let's say, of the cake. That's how it works in business.
Most definitely. Well, let me draw some attention back to those call outs there. You mentioned that you'll be going to the Cardano Summit there, hosted by Cardano Foundation in Dubai. So I would say we'll look forward to seeing you there. I unfortunately won't be there, but we'll have definitely some other Intersect team members there. And yes, for those of you in the community, make sure to come and stop by, see Ronald, and I believe Sandeep will be there with you as well.
Yeah, and I'm next to that, I'm also communicating through the pool. And if I have something to mention, basically, I will post on Twitter about DQuadrant, what we are doing, so people can look it up. And like I said, there's a lot of information also available on our website. And there's open source repositories available. People can look them up, can dig into the code, can see the samples, how we did certain things, how we also tested the stuff for the Cheng hard fork. All this information is in the Intersect MBO repositories. They can look it up, learn something from it, apply it themselves for their own project.
Absolutely. Well, we'll make sure that we get a couple of links in there in the description here and everywhere. But yes, as you called out again, don't hesitate. Get started with Intersect here. Get into our Discord and start communicating with us on any channel or in any group that you feel is most appropriate. And we'll help you get along the way. But thanks everyone for hopping in. Thanks, Ronald, for making some time, and we'll see y'all next time.
Yeah, thanks for the interview, Terence.